I shall start. You're not allowed to laugh, all right?
Okay.
You right? Don't laugh.
I won't laugh.
Don't laugh.
I probably won't laugh. Right, I laugh.
I laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Did I record? Did I press record? Yes. Okay.
Don't you have to go with a clapperboard or anything?
Don't have to because there's not enough. There's not more than one camera.
Oh, right.
So you're not syncing anything up.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So let's start. Today I thought we'd interview my dad, the chap who got me into motorbikes, for better or worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to hopefully tell us a bit about what bikes he's had, what he got into, why he got into it, where he started. So we're sitting in his garage at the moment. We're down in Kent, but we thought we'd visit for the weekend. We've been out on the bikes this morning for a quick ride. I took out the CRF and my dad was on his Tiger 1050. So thought we'd just get into it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why are you into motorbikes?
Well, it probably started off with push bikes as a kid. My dad had motorbike and sidecar really, I suppose. And we always used to go on holiday in a motorbike sidecar with a trailer, and the dinghy turned upside down on a trailer, and the tent inside the trailer. And that's a sidecar with 4 kids, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. My mum and dad on the bike.
Yeah, we got a picture of that.
Yeah, and they would drive. He would drive. He was a mad old bugger. I mean, he still is, but he would take us all over the country. You're moaning about the distance you've come here. I think it's about 230 miles in fairness.
Yes.
Well, my grandma and granddad on my mum's side, they lived at a place called South Shields, which is north of Newcastle. And we used to go up to Newcastle in the motorbike and sidecar from Croydon on a regular basis. And that must have been a journey of about 300 miles. And that was in a motorbike and sidecar. No heaters, nothing like that. Just a motorbike and sidecar. And if you started getting uncomfortable, he used to say, shut up and get on with it. So perhaps in a way, I wonder why I do like motorbikes. But yeah, that was it. I suppose as a kid, just like any tearaway kid, you'd sort of like knock around with a few boys that might find a motorbike somewhere that you could have a ride on. Mm-hmm. I can remember my first experience of riding a powered motorcycle. I was probably about 12 or 13 years old, and I used to live just outside West Croydon, Thornton Borders, and there was a place called the White Horse Bridge sort of dump, mm-hmm. which was like a big industrial area, pretty derelict. And somebody had found an NSU Quick. I say found, I don't know where it come from. What was then called an NSU Quickly, which was a 50C twist and go moped. Yeah. And one of them said, "Oh, do you want to have a go on it?" And yeah, I'll have a go. I'd never ridden a powered motorbike in my life. And he's passed me this NSU Quickly. And I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but you don't want to let your mates know you don't know what you're doing. So I sort of climbed on it like a push bike, started pedalling. It was a pedal bike, pedal motor. Started pedalling away, and of course I realised as I pulled the throttle that it was going faster. You're losing. So this bike was going faster and faster. It was a dead straight road, and at the end of this road was a factory that was closed for the weekend. And it had what they call paling iron gates, which are like vertical slats in the gates. And the bike was heading towards these gates at a rate of knots, probably about 25 mile an hour. But to me, it seemed like 100 mile an hour. And I suddenly thought, I don't know how to stop this thing. I ain't got a clue. I mean, my push bike had brakes, so I thought it was the same thing. But, quite honestly, I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. And I ended up crashing into the gates. The bike stayed upright because the front wheel jammed into the gates. But the problem was, as the bike crashed into the gates, it knocked me off the saddle, and this bike didn't have any mud guards. Somebody nicked the mud guards. So I fell on to the back wheel, and as I fell onto it, I pulled the throttle round, which made the back wheel go faster. And of course, it was on my private parts. And I was limping for days. My mum go, "What's the matter with you? Why are you limping?" "Oh, nothing, Mum, nothing." That was the first sort of encounter with motorbikes. Well, of a powered bike. It wasn't really a motorbike, but... That was, I rode push bikes all the time, but that was that. But I shouldn't really be telling you a story of that because I don't know where the bike came from. It could have been some poor bugger's pride and joy.
He's probably watching this. He'll watch this now.
Well, I should think he's probably in his box by now.
You reckon?
But
It's quite a long time ago. How long ago was that then?
Well, that would have been 1967, 68. I don't know. Quite a long time ago. And then, of course, bikes were always there. My mates had bikes, but kids were sort of like 2 or 3 years older than me. Fairly sad story. A mate of mine, I won't say his name because it was not a nice story, but he had a 650 Lightning, and he was 4 or 5 years older than us. And I didn't really know him that well, but he was taking kids across Mitcham Common for pillion ride across Mitcham Common on it. And he took me across the common, and it was just like one. He didn't have to wear a crash helmet in those days. No. And the 650 Lightning, it was the fastest bike. Apart from the sort of like it was a fast motorbike in its day. Yeah. And got across the common and across Mitcham Common. He's brought me back, and I'm sort of there with my mates, and he's gone off with another kid. I don't know who it was now. But they never came back. Little Austin 1100, by all accounts, went across the traffic lights and he T-boned it, and that was the end of that story. That was quite sad. And luckily enough, touch MDF. He's the only fatal accident I've known of anybody on a motorbike. In all the years I've been riding motorbikes,
But even then, lucky. Even myself, I don't think I've ever been put off because someone's got a. No. Or even myself.
No, I mean, once again, I'm 68 years old next week, and I've ridden motorbikes since I was, sort of like 12, 13, legally, nearly 53 years on the road. I've fallen off. When I used to do track days, I was always falling off, but I've never fallen off to the extent that I felt that my life was threatened. I think I fell off the GS 750 on the Walworth, coming home through Lambeth. Yeah. An Arctic trailer clipped me and knocked me off. The bike went under the trailer, but I was thrown clear. I was lucky there.
And that was the bike that was.
That's the one that the picture.
Where I pictured, as a nipper. But I mean, but from that point, what was your first bike that you actually had a legal bike?
It was actually on my 16th birthday, and I saved up. I had Saturday jobs galore just to try and save up a bit of money. I worked at Freeman Hardy and Willis Shoe Shop in Croydon, the Big Gift Centre, on a Saturday. I was the only boy amongst a horde of women and girls. It was a fantastic job. Women would come into the shop and ask me if they could try shoes on, and of course I had to help them. But no, it was a great job. And then of course I started working there during the week, in school holidays, just to accumulate a bit of money. I think I managed to save up the princely sum of 25 quid. And I don't.
In them days, wasn't it?
It was a lot of money. Yeah. But I saw an advert. I think it was somebody my dad knew. Somebody who worked with my dad, and they had a BSA Bantam, 175 Bantam. It was in those. Well, in actual fact, it was sort of by then they stopped doing it. But they used to have what they called telegraph boys, telegram boys, telegraph. I don't know. And these kids used to ride around on Bantams delivering telegrams to people, which were like urgent sort of messages. And it was an ex-post office telegram bike. And it had leg guards to keep your legs protected. Yep. I mean, it was, to me as a kid, I don't want that. So I took the leg guards off and I fashioned them into sporty mud guards. But I got that when I was 16, and even as a 16-year-old, I've ridden it on my birthday, the first day. It was a 175. In those days, you could ride up to 250 as a learner. And my mate lived in Selsdon, which is a posh part of Croydon, and I went up to see him, and I'm riding along and probably daydreaming, which I do quite often do, which is not a good thing to do when you ride motorbikes. And I went straight up the backside of a Volkswagen Beetle. On the very first day that I rode my own motorbike, I had a crash. I think I got it home, but it was a bit buckled and sore. But then you just had to mend it as best you can, and I got on with that, and then I got a Suzuki 80 from, I don't know where I got that. I think, or maybe I didn't buy it from a dealer. I think maybe that was something to do with a neighbour or something. I sort of got a bit of money for that. So Suzuki 80, and then A Triumph 250 trophy, I think it was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a Triumph. What I'm talking about, it's a BSA 250 Gold Star, which
Yep.
was like a mock enduro off-road bike. It
Is
wasn't
that,
really.
we got a picture of that.
Yeah,
one,
there's a
haven't we?
picture of that somewhere. Yeah,
So
and I did my test on that. The funny thing is, I mean, difference between now and then. I did my test at Wallingham Test Centre.
yeah.
I booked a test and I was going away the following week on holiday with my girlfriend, and I needed a motorbike to take her on. We were going to a Butlins or something in Clacton, and I needed to take her on the back of my motorbike. So I turned up at the test centre, and the inspector come out and he went, okay. He said, I want you to ride down the road. He said, I want you to take the second on the right, then the first on the right, and then right and right again. Do a big square. He said, at some stage I will step out in front of you. I need you to come to a halt, under control, and then when you come back to the centre, we'll reassess you from there. So, okay, fair enough. So I've gone down the road, probably daydreaming again. Instead of taking the first on the right, I took the second on the right and got completely lost. I am a prat. But anyway, I got back to the centre and he said, well, I'm sorry. He said, you've run out of time for me to do the test and I haven't seen you. He said, so I can't assess your ability to ride it. So I said, oh, blimey, I'm going on holiday with my girlfriend next week. She wants to ride on the back. He goes, hang on a minute. So he went back in the office. He come out. He said, well, we got a schedule at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Come back at 9 o'clock tomorrow and we'll redo the test. So he come out. I turned up the next morning and took the test and passed. I was lucky enough. Got to take my girlfriend on holiday, and that was it. So that was the. So then, of course, the 250 Gold Star suddenly became a little bit. Oh, I want a big bike now. So my mate had a Suzuki Hustler.
Yeah.
And that was a terrific bike. I loved the Suzuki. It ticked all the boxes as far as I was concerned. So, but in those days, I didn't have the money to buy one outright. So I sort of bent the old man's ear to sign guarantee, which is like where he guarantees to pay HP if you fail.
Yeah.
I bent his ear to sign guarantee for a Suzuki, but my old man, there's no reading the bloke. I'm not signing guarantee for a Japanese bike. I don't want no Jack crap in my house. So, all right, fair enough. So then I started to go around and I saw probably motorcycle news. I saw an advert for Triumph Bonneville. Brand new 650 T120 RV, all in the frame, 1973. And it was in Harvey Owens in the Walworth Road, which is South London motorcycle shop. So got up there, had a look at it, really liked it. It just looked nice. It was a pretty bike. So I've gone back, told the old man, I said, look, I've got a deposit. Will you sign guarantee for this? So he said, all right, I'll do that. And we went up the Walworth Road one Saturday, I can remember, got this Triumph, which was actually at the time a big item. You know, I mean, one of our neighbours up the road, he was renting a room in one of the houses, and he was quite a bit older than me at the time, and he just bought himself a brand new CB 750, but that was way over what I could afford, and it seemed. I mean, I got the CB 900 over there, and it feels small compared with the Triumph I've got there, but they were big bikes in their day. I mean, and Bonneville was sort of okay. So anyway, I stuck with the Bonneville, but the ironic part about it was, my old man, I'm not signing guarantee for any jack crap. About 6 months later, he went out and bought himself a TS 250.
And I remember that.
Yeah, well, he kept that for a long time.
Yeah.
But so he bought himself jack crap.
Yeah.
About 6 months after. But I had the Bonneville and I used it. I was working at Heathrow Airport and at Maidstone. I was commuting, and I would commute in all weathers, in the snow, in the rain. Used that bike. I put a lot of miles on that bike, actually. Went down to the West Country on holiday with my girlfriend, at the time, who was your mother now. Yeah. All that sort of thing. And I can remember, well, I worked, my background is as a kid, I was trained as a quantity surveyor, and I was working for a company called Cementation Building on Mitcham Common. Yep. And one of the kids that worked with me, actually, I think he was probably about a year older than me. He's the one with the Suzuki Hustler, and I loved that bike. And he said to me, he said, have you got any holiday time owed to you? So I said, yeah, what was that? It was getting towards the end of the year. I said, only about a week. And he said, Suzuki have been in touch with my club and they want volunteer riders because they're doing a motorbike launch. He said, I want volunteers. So I said, yeah, I'm up for that. So I ended up going to Suzuki's headquarters at that time. We're in Beddington Lane, which is at the back of Mitcham Common. So I can remember going to their headquarters one evening with him, and we got introduced to loads of different people there. And they explained that what they wanted to do, they wanted to launch 3 motorcycles. They were going to be 3-cylinder motorcycles, a 380, a 550 and a 750. And they wanted to take part in something called a Maudes Trophy, which is an endurance trophy.
Yeah.
And to do that, they were going to ride the bikes around Britain 3 times non-stop.
Yeah.
And the way they were going to do it was get the riders to ride the bikes 300-mile stints at a time. So you'd ride from one place to another, and then they had Bedford Bedouin camper vans, and you get in the old Bedouin camper van, and you'd shoot across country while the bike carried on going around the coast roads, and then you'd pick up the van again, carry on riding. Bear in mind, this was sort of like, I'm pretty sure it was about October, November time we were doing this. It was
nice and warm, yeah.
Oh man! and I did the first leg from Beamish's, and I'm pretty sure that I was on the 750, but I wouldn't 100% swear to that, but I'm pretty sure I rode the 750. But my memory's crap.
Yeah.
But I rode from Beamish Motorcycles, which was the Suzuki main dealers down in Brighton at the time, down to somewhere in Devon. I can't remember where. It was the motorcycle dealers in Devon. And then we got in this camper van, and the guy driving the camper van, he was an old Suzuki racer from the 30s and 40s, a right old character he was. And we pulled up on the M5 just outside Bristol, and there was a couple of old tarts hitchhiking lift, and we got them in the van with us, dropped them off near Manchester somewhere, on the way up to, got back on the bikes at Gretna Green, and we rode all the way up Scottish Highlands, round to Thurso, then did the same stint, got in the van, back down to Newcastle, and then riding from Newcastle around the North Yorkshire moors in the middle of the night. Actually, going back on that, going up to Scotland, we had to follow a snowplough for a good few hours because of the snow.
You had all the right gear on then as well?
Well, the funny thing was that, believe it or not, Suzuki, in their wisdom, they provide, because it was for the Suzuki we did, they provided me with my first ever full-face helmet, and they also provided me with this one-piece orange suit that was heated. You could plug it in the battery. This is in 1974. Yeah, it was before I was married. 74, 75, I can't remember what year. But it was, heated suit. And that heated suit, that stayed in the family because my old man used it on his sailing boat right up until the 90s when he got rid of the boat. But we kept the suit in the family for ages. I don't know what happened to the helmet, but...
So you had like one of the first heated suits?
Yeah, well, we did to a degree. I mean, we didn't have heated gloves or anything like that, which is, but the suits were sort of like, I think it was the ankles and the kidneys or something like that.
So this was just to prove how reliable the bikes were, I suppose?
Yeah, basically it was 3 bikes and they were following a Range Rover all around Britain 3 times. And ironically, they were stopped, each time we got to Brighton, they were stopped and serviced at Brighton. Yeah. But the Range Rover was never serviced. They just carried on 3 times non-stop. And I have heard, I lost contact. I went to a Suzuki Owners Club meeting about 15 years ago and I donated a load of photographs. They promised me they'd get them back to me, but I never saw the photographs again. And I heard that Suzuki did in the end get awarded the trophy, and my name is on their trophy certificate or something. Somebody's assured me. Yeah,
well, if you're watching this and you know, if you know any of this, get in touch.
In actual fact, going back on if you know anything also, my old Triumph Bonneville I was talking about, registration number PGU114L. Yeah. By all accounts, it was last taxed in 2010. Yeah. But if anybody knows the whereabouts of that, I'd just be interested to know what the story is with that.
Maybe you get lucky.
So I did that, and then sort of because I got married and we bought a house and started having kids.
Sorry.
Yeah. Money became tight. What I had. I borrowed some because we had an opportunity to get a masonette, very good deal. I had to borrow 300 quid off my father-in-law. I think he wanted to get rid of his daughter, but that's by the by. I borrowed 300 quid off the father-in-law to get married, and in the end I had to sell the Bonneville
Right.
to give him his money back, which I did, and I didn't have a bike. And then I saw an advert in the Evening Standard. Well, in actual fact, going back on that, because your mum was into bikes as well. She had a Honda CG 125 that she took her test on, and then she had a TS 250 that some tow rag nicked her after she.
We've got a picture of her on that, I think.
Yeah,
we have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some tow rag nicked. So that was the up until about 10 years ago. That was the last motorbike she owned, but in her own name. Anyway, but we got married, bought the Masonette, and then Mum had the Suzuki when we had the Masonette, and that got nicked. And then just before I moved from the Masonette to the house, I said, I was still in the Masonette because I saw an advert in the Evening Standard for two bikes, a BMW R25 and a Greaves Scotsman with a Villiers engine. And I can't remember, they were silly money at the time. And at the time, they weren't really very desirable bikes. This is 1979, 78. They weren't what you would consider desirable bikes. So I went along and they were no money. I bought them and they were nice little bikes. I mean, the BMW was a shaft drive 250 and the Greaves Scotsman had a leading link front fork on it. And if I had them now, they'd be worth a fortune.
Yeah.
Anyway, I bought them for next to no money. And my mate, Terry, had a motorbike shop at the back of where we worked over at Sydenham. And I think I chopped them in. I might have sold them, or I chopped them in as I had to use them as a deposit for the Suzuki. I bought the Suzuki GS 750 because that was the commuting bike, and I either sold them privately or part extant to Terry. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But if I still had them now, they'd be worth. Well, same if I still had the Bonneville now, or even the Gold Star's worth silly money. You know, all these old bikes are worth money. But so I chopped them in for the GS 750, which was a commuter bike really, because I was working up in London a lot.
Yeah.
And I used it for.
And that's another bike now that would be worth.
If it was.
They're not massively desirable, are they these days? But they're quite nice.
And in fairness to the bike, I was using it for London commute, and I was being quite sort of, I didn't look after it very well. And then one day I was coming home on it, and an Arctic trailer clipped it and knocked it from underneath me. The bike went underneath the trailer, and I just walked away.
Yeah.
So I got the bike home. I took it all apart in the garage. I had a crappy little garage with no heating or anything, no light. I took it all apart in the garage with every intention of rebuilding it, but kids and everything else. He sort of sat there and didn't do nothing, and then I sold it in truth, and then I didn't have a bike for a couple of years, and then I saved up a deposit and I bought myself the Yamaha 250. What was it? The
TDR.
TDR 250. Yeah, beautiful turquoise red colour. It was a lovely bike, and I loved that bike. It was brilliant, but I lent it to my tow rag brother, and he got it nicked from me.
You might be watching this.
Well, good luck. I hope he feels guilty. But I had that bike for a couple of years, and then that got nicked. So once again, I was stuck without a bike. And then in the early 90s, the garage opposite where it was in middle to late 90s actually. The garage to where I worked, the bloke there said, "Oh, I know somebody who's flogging a motorbike." He said, "Are you interested?" I said, "What's he got?" He said, X-Up 1000. Oh, I haven't had a 1000cc bike. That's a big old unit. So I bought it because by then you lot were starting to grow up. And money was freeing up a little bit. So I bought that, and my mate, a good mate, he just bought himself an R1 about a year after I got the X-Up. So he's got the R1, and he says to me, "Do you think we should try this old track day malarkey?" And I thought, well, why not give it a go, So I followed road racing for years. I've been all over the country watching road racing, and if I'd had the money or if I know how and knew the people when I was younger, I probably would have loved racing, but I never got around to doing that. And so I started the first track day we did. I can remember, actual fact. We had a track day booked at Brands Hatch. We didn't have a clue what we would be doing. So he says to me, you're supposed to get your knee down doing track days. And of course, like, in the 80s, getting your knee down was a little bit unusual because most of the bikes weren't sports bike, they weren't designed for it. So I thought, well, I've never really done that. So he said, no, nor have I. So the pair of us one night, him on his brand new R1, me still on my X up then, he said to me, he said, I was at Blue Water at the weekend with the old woman doing some shopping. He said, they got some fantastic roundabouts there. He said, if we go to Blue Water, he said, we might be able to do a bit of knee down practice. So I can remember going in, dead of night one night and riding round roundabouts trying to get my knee down. I don't know if there's security cameras back then. It was like in about 96, 97.
Yeah.
But, you know, there would be a film somewhere of me and my mate Paul trying to get our knee down, going around Blue Water. And then we went to Brands for our first ever track day. And of course, I'd been riding on the road for years, but I'd never ridden never ridden on track. So I wasn't really quite sure of track etiquette and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm used to chevrons telling me to go around bends and things like that. So we're going around, I think we got out for a couple of sessions as complete novices. And then I started getting a bit carried away with myself. And I'm going up towards, I think it was the Barry Dingledale, Barry Sheen Bends, I can't remember the names there.
Yep.
And I'm going up this hill, and I thought it would go up and over the top of the hill. But of course, it's a racetrack. It didn't go anywhere like that. You get to the top of the hill, and it's almost a sharp right. But I carried on going straight into the gravel. And this X-Up's planted itself straight in the gravel. Yeah. Didn't fall over, and I've gone over the flipping windscreen. I'm laying on my back, looking back, and the X-Up's just sitting there looking at me, laughing almost. So that was a bit embarrassing because I had to red flag it because I'd had an accident. And they come out and got me. There was nothing wrong with me or the bike.
All the gravel in your fairing.
It was all the gravel. I was always good at collecting gravel in the fairing on track days. And we've gone back to the pit, cleaned it all out, and gone out again. And like old Paul's being a bit smug, yeah, you crashed your bike. And he was a sort of bloke that everything had to be immaculate. He was always very smart, Paul, in everything he did, everything very precise. And his R1 was beautiful. And in the afternoon session, I can remember he went out in the afternoon, he went up to the hairpin. Once again, I can't remember names. The hairpin after you drop down from the start, go down the hill and then up to the hairpin.
Yep.
And he's come around the hairpin and he's lost it in the mud. Oh man, that bike, it's gone off to the side, straight into the bank. Nothing really wrong with the bike, but it was absolutely caked with mud because it had been raining the night before. Anyway. Right. So anyway, the van's brought it back to the pits. And I could see him like this, almost like a tear in his eye. Like, what have I done to my bike? Yeah. And I can remember trying to clean it. I went and nicked a bog brush out of the toilet to try and brush the mud out of the bike. But,
it's mad though, isn't it? To think that but then you wouldn't have filmed it, but now everybody films it and you would have had that evidence.
Yeah, I've got photographs, but I've got no film or anything like that. And then, and we really got into it and I got a blade. Yeah. I wanted a bike for the road as well, so I didn't get a track tool as such, but I got a blade, which ended up basically becoming a track tool. But I can remember before when I got the blade first of all, you and me and a few guys going down to Le Mans for the MotoGP did that. But I think that was
about 2001, 2002.
Right, well, because I at the same time, I don't know if it was before or after Le Mans, I did a week of did a week of track days at Catalonia. Yeah. And the bike was, we must be one of the very first people who have done that. The bikes were loaded onto an Arctic. Yeah. And we flew out to Barcelona. Yeah. And we had a week in Barcelona and a week on the track. Oh man, that was the best. It was so well organised and it was such good fun. But
it wasn't done, was it? Now it's like common knowledge.
Everybody does it now, but then it wasn't done. I mean, I think...
I don't 100%.
I can't believe the guy that organised it made a lot of money because he looked after us so well, the hotels and everything.
And it wasn't expensive. Well, as expensive as it is now.
I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But in those days, you do track day. And if you wanted to feed yourself at a track day on a British track, you had to go to a burger bar and buy a greasy, crappy burger.
Or take sandwiches.
And you had to pay for it yourself and all that. Anyway, I can remember we'd done a couple of sessions, and this very attractive young Spanish lady come down to the pits, and she said, in an hour, upstairs, we've got some food for you.
Oh wow.
And what do you call it? With a big, it's all rice and chicken and meat.
Paella.
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 Oh mate, we've gone upstairs. The paella was cooked. Obviously, it's in Spain. It's going to be cooked very well, but it was in a great big pan. I'd never seen anything like it. They were cooking it all. And it was food to die for. In fact, the food was so good, you're not really sure you would go out.
Yeah, so I sleep.
Yeah, I need a siesta before I can go out. But and I managed to drop the blade in the gravel there.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it came home with plenty of gravel inside the foot. It didn't really, no real damage. It was just plenty of gravel.
But you changed. You put the like some race fairing on it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and then you turned it pretty much into a track bike.
Yeah. Well, because I did a few like Le Mans with you and things like that, but it ended up becoming pretty much a track bike.
And you did loads of track days.
Yeah, and I got really into track days. I mean, in the end, I sort of had to stop because it was just costing.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
And Paul did as well. I mean, he took up golf. I'm crap at golf. I'm not, I know you play golf, but I can't. I couldn't hit a golf ball to save my life. But Paul took up golf, so I give it a miss. But then I sort of next bike after that. I think actually the KTM. Mate of mine bought a farm. Well, he didn't buy a farm. He bought a house on a massive farm down in Surrey, and there was the farmer had built himself. He was into military tanks and things like that, and he built himself in his field. He had this field full of berms and jumps and things. And me and my mate Ron, we bought a couple of off-road bikes. I bought a KTM 300 EXC. Never really done anything off-road. I didn't know what I was buying. And I bought the bike, and I loved it. I was just riding it around the field. I didn't really ride it. I did ride it on the road a bit, but not much.
It was a proper two-stroke though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was two-stroke, and it was a proper
bit of a
beast of a bike. And it was good fun, and I enjoyed it. But then Ron went off to Abu Dhabi. Oh, no, because then he'd bought...
He bought a bike.
He had the GS 750, and he sold that to me. I bought that off of him, bought the GS 750 off of him.
That's right.
Abu Dhabi.
And you put the flat bars on it because your wrists hurt.
Yeah, I put some bars. I think Ron bought some bar risers, and but he didn't actually do the conversion. I did the conversion on it. But,
that's right.
But and I used that for commute. By then I'd given up track days. I used that commute, and that GS 750 is just such a sweet little bike. It was lovely. And
because I had the 14, the GSX 14 when you had the 750.
All right.
And we went to Box Hill once, and they got the bikes the wrong way around because they thought the 14 was yours and the 750 was mine.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah. But of course, like the trouble is, your mum wouldn't get on the sports bike.
No.
I mean, by then she was a mature lady, and
she'd love that.
Yeah,
a mature lady.
So
a mature lady mum.
I thought to myself, I've got to have a look round for something that she'll like because.
And it's this.
Yeah, it was that. I mean, I bought that in 2012, and I've done 30,000 miles on it.
It's been all over Europe, isn't it?
It's been Europe, all over this country. I mean, where you live, I mean, come down to down to see you, mum, on the back. Mum's, with the cases and the boxes on the back, it goes anywhere, and it's a brilliant bike. It's a piece of kit. I mean, I don't buy a lot of bikes. Like it does the job. It suits me.
Yeah, but you've got this. Well, you've got the AGS.
Yeah, well...
Why have you got the AGS?
The AJS, I bought that because I was on a whim, having actually just moved down here, I thought, I've got a nice garage here, I could do with another bike in that garage. And, actual fact, going back before the AJS, because back where we lived before, it was about 2019, and I sort of, every now and again, you get the hankering for a new bike. The Triumph was as good as gold. No real reason. The only reason I would change the Triumph is because doing long distance journeys, it'd be nice to have cruise control. Keeping the grip going on that is a bit of a pain.
It's odd, isn't it? And you forget.
I used to live very close to Doble's motorcycles, and I can remember going into Doble's one sunny Saturday morning to have a look at the Africa Twin, really, as a replacement for the Triumph. But I looked at the Africa Twin and I thought to myself, why am I bothering? Because it's no better. Because back then I couldn't get the Africa Twin didn't have cruise control.
No,
I thought it's no different to the Tiger. No, absolutely
not really.
No, and I'd be sort of like getting
Not
myself
if you're just going to do roading on it.
No. So I thought, and I was walking out, and I saw this Honda CRF 250 Rally, all black. I thought, wow, that's a pretty little thing. And I was looking at it, and I feel in Dobles, he said, do you want to sit on it? I went, yeah, I don't mind. I sat on it, I thought, whoa, it's nice and soft to sit on. And of course, nice upright position. I thought to myself, do you know what? Instead of commuting on my big Triumph every day, because I was riding it from Banstead to Red Hill and back every day for work, or most days, I thought this would make a good addition, not a replacement, but it means I don't have to keep knocking the nuts out of the Triumph. I can ride the Honda.
Yeah.
So I thought about it. I saved up a little. Well, I had enough. I had enough for a deposit. I put down a deposit and I bought the Honda Never Never for 3 years.
Yeah, but they're not very expensive, are they? Really, for
it
what
was
they are.
peanuts. I think the repayment was £90 a month. Or something like that. It was
It's not bad for a brand new motorbike.
No, that's
and
right.
that's the first brand new motorbike you've had.
It's the first brand new motorbike I bought since the Triumph in 1974.
Yeah.
So I bought it and I was using it for commuting, and I was having a real hoot on it. I was doing wheelies and doing things I'd never done on a motorbike before, just loving it. And then I sort of thought to myself, this is a green lane bike. Perhaps I should sort of go green laning with it. I thought, how'd you do green laning? I didn't really know what green laning was all about. And I saw an advert on Facebook for a bloke doing like guided off-road tours around Surrey Hills.
Yeah.
So I messaged him and he said, I think it was about 50 or 60 quid, which is a lot of money for somebody to lead you around Surrey Hills, because you don't need to pay that sort of money, I promise you. Anyway, I met him at Rikers, giving me 50 or 60 quid, whatever it was. And he took us off for a tour around the lanes, and I loved it. It was flipping really good. I'd never done anything like it before. All round, Surrey Hills is a beautiful place, and there are some terrific lanes. I mean, I've come away from last time I rode Surrey Hills was Christmas, but there's some arseholes dumping rubbish and things like that, which are really spoiling the place. But it is the most fantastic area, and anybody who lives around there and gets to ride off road around there, they're lucky people. They really are. But anyway, I did this ride with him, and I really enjoyed doing this. And I saw somebody, I think while I was waiting to meet him, there was somebody in Right, and I was talking to the bloke, and he said, you should join the TRF, which is the Trials Riders Federation. He said, they will show you all the lanes, and he said, you won't have to pay any money. He said, I think in 2019, when I started doing it, you used to pay £2 per rider for a guided tour. I mean, £2 for a day's riding, And I have to tell you, doing a green lane is as much fun as doing a track day. Well, it was for me. Anyway, they don't charge the £2 now because it's something to do with insurance. They're not allowed, if they take money off you, then they become responsible.
Right, yeah, okay.
So now they give you guided tour. You can do a guided ride. If you join the TRF as a novice, they will do what they call leader runs, and they will take you around the lanes. And
there's a couple of guys on YouTube. I think, is it Hippo Drones?
Yeah, Hippo Drones.
Does
he's
it.
a good guy. He does it. Yeah, and I mean, I've got a few
Mr.
mates.
Fish.
No, he doesn't. I don't think
he does the guys.
No, he doesn't do. Hippo Drones does.
Yeah,
but,
I've seen a few of his videos.
Yeah.
And we chat quite a lot on Facebook. But
yeah, I mean,
and he keeps telling me to get the
TRF
membership.
Yeah.
But I just it's hard, isn't it? Because it's where I live in Somerset. There's nothing. But you have to get down to Devon.
No, but if you want places to ride, and if you want to keep places to ride, you have to join the TRF, because
keep it going.
They are the ones that are fighting to keep green lanes open. And you really, they need all the support they can get, because it's a brilliant organisation. I mean, you came to the ABR with me, and you saw what the TRF do there. And for what it costs, 50 quid a year, you get a magazine every month. I mean, you go to the club meets, every once a month. The club meets are usually, the club meet for I was in the South East London, Surrey, and I'm still a member of that club, and they meet once a month a clubhouse in
Keep going.
Woburn Way.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant organisation. And I really, anybody who wants to ride off-road needs to join the TRF.
And like, so I've got the 250 now, so I've been little bit cryptic about where it came from, but I've got the 250 now. You've got the 300, which I rode in the other video, which I either put out before this or after, I'm not sure yet.
Yep.
But I'd never ridden an off-road bike properly until I did the ABR, and I really enjoy it. The problem I've got, but you know, you've been through all of that. Now you've got the time to go and ride. Well, not at the moment, but you've had the time in the past to go ride off-road when you feel like it. And when you commute to Red Hill, you could pretty much go off-road.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could ride off-road. I used to sort of like finish work sort of 5:30.
Yeah.
And round Red Hill, there's a few green lanes, but I would just go off towards Dorking, and then from Dorking, there's loads of lanes. I mean, and, you know, even around Kent, I mean, in the village I'm in now, I haven't had a chance to explore it yet, but there's a green lane that goes straight out of this village, but I just need to find it. It's, you know, when we went up the road this morning, just literally half a mile up the road, there's a green lane to get on, but I just had a chance to explore it, and I see dirt bikes riding around here quite often.
Well, this morning when we went out in the car, I could see a couple of dirt bikes riding down across the fields.
Yeah, that's it.
But I just, I mean, and now here you are.
Yeah. Well, I say then, so after I moved down here, you had the 250 off me, so I thought, right, I'm going to get myself a new bike. And I was looking at the 690, KTM 690, and all those sort of things. But you're looking at about 10 grand just to get the bike on the road.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do with these bikes, you always find you want to spend a little bit of money tweaking them. Even the most prepped KTM or anything like that, you're still going to want to make it your own. So you're going to spend money on it. And I thought, you know what? I had no problem with the 250. I love that bike. I'm going to get the 300. And I managed to... And there's a Honda dealer literally just down the road. And I went in there in August and I said to him, what's the score with the 300? He said, what one do you want? I said, well, I don't really care, but I like the rally because I've had the rally before. So he said, you ain't going to get nothing before April, May of 23.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. So I thought, I better go back and have another look at the KTM or the Beta or something like that. So I came back home and it's like you're sitting there on your phone, and I just went on to eBay and I clicked in CRF 300 expecting nothing to come up. And lo and behold, this one came up.
That one there.
That one behind me. And it was only 25, 30 miles down the road from where I live. So I messaged the bloke and he said, it's done, I think it had done 700 or 800 miles when I bought it. He said it's done 800 miles. He said it's got crash bars on it. It's got quite a lot, and it had loads of extras,
all the bits that you pretty
rental
much
bars, everything I'd done to my bike.
Yeah.
Well, not everything, but
Some of it, most of it.
And it also had things like the Krieger panniers, which I think are about 150 quid. The Krieger panniers.
They're up there or something.
Yeah. It's got loads of kit on it, and he wanted 580 quid for it. So, no, it's not 500, 5,800 quid.
Yeah, that's cheap, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and the list price is 6,300, I think it was. And I thought, well, with all that kit and only done 800 miles, it's got to be worth a look. So I went and had a look at it, and it actually had a dink in the tank because he had bought it. He hadn't bought it brand new. He bought it from a bloke down your way in Yeovil. And he said, I hired a van to go and pick it up. He said, and I dropped it, put it in the van, and I dinked the tank. So I knocked another 50 quid off for that, or 100 quid, I can't remember. And I bought it off him and bought it back here. And I've done a few things. I put tracker tyres on it. I've actually put aero, full system aero on it, and I don't know, other bits and pieces. But it's a brilliant little bike. Love it. I mean,
but you can't knock that bike for anything really, considering what the 250, the amount of off-roading you did on it. And how much
your 250, I probably abused. I mean, I could flog it to you, but I wouldn't flog it to anybody else because it'd be embarrassing. You know?
But there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing really wrong with it. But I did, like the plastic leaves a lot to be desired.
But
And there was a few
It
things.
spent a lot of times underwater as well, didn't it?
It did. You know.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, it was used and abused in the short period that it was in my care, but it's still a brilliant little bike, and you still ride it. And,
yeah,
you know,
that's what it's wanted for.
Yeah, but anyway, moved down here, and I sort of like thought, oh, I've got a nice garage here. I could do with. I've got my old Honda project bike there, which is in need of a gearbox rebuild. But I thought I've got room for one more bike. And I was just looking through some bike magazine or something, and I saw that AJ, and I thought to myself, you know what, I like that old bike. That's like, and it's all, you can see it's all original.
Yeah.
It's used, but in good order. And I emailed the bloke about it, and he sent me back. He was an old boy. He's in his 80s, and he said I can't ride it anymore because I can't start it. My knees are giving out on me. So he sent me the details, and the thing that actually made me want to buy it more than anything when I got the details was that it was registered in the month that I was born. So it's exactly the same age as me to the month. But he was in, North Yorkshire. Oh, God, can't remember the name of this place now. Right on the coast, up in North Yorkshire. And I'm thinking, this is before Christmas. I'm thinking to myself, how the hell am I going to get up there and collect that? And I think it's going to cost me, like, I'm going to have to stay at home because it's short days. I'm going to have to go out there, stay in a hotel, and then get on the trailer, bring it back. It's going to cost me a fortune in petrol. It's going to cost me a hotel overnight. It's going to lose me a day of work, and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you suggested to me that I use that...
Move my bike.
Yeah. And I can't believe they were... I won't tell you how much they charge because it's their business, but they gave me such a competitive price, and they provided a really good service. They went and they contacted the guy selling it to me, arranged to collect it from him, and they delivered it to my door. I was at work when they delivered it, but my missus took delivery. The guy, really helpful guy, unloaded it, put it in the garage. Good firm. I'll give them top marks. But
I didn't use them. What did I? When I got my MT-01, the dealer just used one, but I saw them a few times on. I think they were moving an MT-01, and it came up on my feed, and I just saw them and saw that they're a really good deal.
Yeah, good firm. Yeah. So at the moment, I've got my Honda project bike, which me and my mate Adrian. I mean, when I was living at the last place, I lived there for 40 years, and I built myself a really nice garage there. And my mate Adrian lived up the road. He's like my best mate. He's into motorbikes. He's got a V-Rod. Yeah. And we bought ourselves a few bikes over the years, boxes of bikes, and we rebuilt them, sold them, and whatever. But the Honda, well, it's sort of a bit like Trigger's broom.
We'll try and put some pictures up of that.
It's got sort of like, at the moment, the engine that's in it, we bought the engine because the last engine blew up. And I thought it was a good engine, but when we got it in the bike and tried to use it, the gearbox was buggered, so I've got to take it apart. And with that, you've got to take the engine out, turn it upside down to rebuild the gearbox. So that's a project to come. And of course, I've moved away from Adrian now. He's still around. He'll come down and perhaps spend a weekend with me, and we'll do it together. But we're so that's
and there you are.
Yeah, that's my bikes. That's my bike history. But,
it's all good.
Yeah,
and
of course, I've got a son who's very much into motorbikes.
Yep.
So
just carries on.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. My grandsons, none of them seem that interested in motorbikes.
It's the granddaughters.
My granddaughters that seem more interested.
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but we'll wait and see that with that one.
Yeah, but that's it. That's where we are. So you've got the Triumph.
Yeah.
You've got the
Triumph is a Tiger 1050.
1050.
Yeah.
And that's on a 2009 plate.
2009. Yeah.
And then you've got the CRF 300, which is a 2022. I think I got that right in the video earlier.
Yeah.
And then you've got the AGS, which is 1955.
Yeah.
And then
you've told everybody how old I am.
well old. And then you've got the project bike.
Well, she's a 1981 CB. At the moment, the engine in it is a CB 750.
Yep.
But it's based on the CB 900F frame and engine. And my mate Lee did a load of spraying on it. We remodelled all the tank and whatever. We've done all the electrics. It's got, I think it's got X-up swinging arm. It's got a very long swinging arm on it, which makes it look like a drag bike. There's a chain goes on forever, and it's got X-up or 600. I think it's Yamaha front brakes and wheels on it, but I wouldn't swear that. I don't know where they've come from. It's all baskets case stuff that's been rebuilt.
But yeah.
And I'm freezing my tits off sitting out
Yeah,
here.
I'm pretty cold as well, actually, if I'm honest.
So
We've got a roast dinner to go and eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'll hopefully get some pictures of the bikes as we talk in. But that is where my history comes from. I'm not sure if I'd be into bikes if my dad weren't into bikes. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably would.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it just never would have happened.
Yeah.
With granddad,
Yeah.
mum,
Yeah. Yeah. It happens.
all the Uncle Joe had bikes. Yeah.
It's
That's
in the
it.
genes, yeah.
So that's my dad, George, and I hope you enjoyed his story.
I'm be advertising me beer.
It's a Corona.
Shh.
Shh. I don't care. I might get sent some. Yeah, right. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If this is your first time watching the channel, please give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. I've got loads of new videos coming up in the summer. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you can give me a comment down below. If you've got a history of bikes, please comment on if you've got any of the bikes in this video. Please let me know about them. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.
Back. Is that what you wanted to do?
That's it. We're good.
Yeah. Let's get in the warm.
It's too cold.
Oh.